Hi, everyone. Welcome to NAB 2026. I am here with Lennie Nelson of Vizrt. Lennie, how are you doing?
I am good. It's been a very eventful NAB so far. So I don't know, 17, 18 years I've been coming to this. It's always a good time to meet people, see people, catch up on some of the relationships we've made over the years. But yeah, NAB is a big show. A lot going on, a lot of new stuff to see, a lot of exciting technology.
Well said. And speaking of exciting new technology, I'd love to just dive right into the partnership between Vizrt and Zoom. Please
Okay.
tell us all about that.
Well, we've noticed over the years that enterprises, businesses, are creating video. They're becoming broadcasters basically, and through our technology, through the TriCaster, through NDI, we've been becoming part of that growth. And we know Zoom, starting when COVID happened, right? They just took off like a lightning bolt, right? And they have sort of the best video sharing technology, and that just seemed like a natural relationship to start. And we saw Zoom being used for production a lot, right? And how do we get that into the things that people are using every day? Well, we started by putting their SDK into our TriCaster, which means every caller can now look as good as possible. And then the other thing that happened on the back end of that is our customers started saying, well, I need to look better. So we started helping them with cameras and, lighting and things and microphones. So it elevated their appearance across the board. So, when you have executives and high level C-levels participants in these productions, they want to look good, right? Because that elevates the brand. And, whether they're talking to their employees or they're talking to an investor relations group or anything like that, this just elevates their appearance so that their message comes through with the gravity that it needs to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the partnership you have with Zoom is really exemplifies the convergence of
Yeah.
traditional AV
Yes.
as well as traditional broadcast, right?
Right. And so what we've done this year specifically, I mean, one of the big reasons we're here at NAB is we have some new products that actually take that to the next level. The first one, simply put, it's a very simple thing where any Zoom user can add broadcast quality graphics on top of themselves. So they can have a nice lower third. They can put up an agenda. They can show slides directly in their in their Zoom view, as opposed to it being a shared slide experience or something like that. So it becomes more of like a switched experience or a television style appearance, as opposed to, the normal screen share where the camera may be turned off or just looking up someone's nose or, that sort of unflattering appearance with bad lighting and, a bad appearance. So, we turn on the lights, we get a little bit of color, we get a little bit better sound. And all of a sudden, like I said, that message pops through and the technology gets out of the way and you can just, the experience is better for the viewer. And that's really what we're trying to do, is elevate that experience. The other tool we put out this year is called Captivate. And what it does is it takes a Zoom room, which is an installation inside a facility where Zoom is sort of the driver of it. And it gives you more of the production switcher technology inside of it, which at a very with a very simple interface where you just boop, 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 touch a touch screen or something on an iPad or a Zoom room controller. And what that does is allow you to do a lot of things. You can put a virtual background behind someone using our AI keying technology. So we could put something on the background here and, put in we could take your slides, for example, and bring them into the environment as opposed to, again, just a screen share type environment. We can do multi-box effects. We can do all the broadcast things that everybody's used to seeing on the news, the sports shows, and things like that, and bring them into this corporate environment. And like I said, just take that brand recognition, that brand image, and elevate it even higher than you can normally.
Mm-hmm. That's really exciting. So my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Captivate is a standalone server. Is that the hardware?
Well, it is a unit that does need to be installed on your network in
Okay.
your facility. Yes.
Got it.
But it runs through the Zoom Room controller. Basically, the Zoom Room controller says, I want to do this, this, and this. It tells this server what to do, and then it broadcasts out the composited imagery.
Okay. Understood. And my understanding also is that there is an element of a TriCaster that's been augmented with Zoom or interface. Or
Well, our TriCaster switcher technology has been okay. There's two things. So inside of Captivate, we obviously use some of our switcher technology and our rendering engine technology to connect with Zoom and do the compositing and the output of the imagery. Now, TriCaster itself has the ability to use like I said, the Zoom callers as sources. So any video producer out there using a TriCaster now has access to take the isolated audio and video feeds. And now with this enhanced media option that Zoom has, you can get even higher quality video and higher frame rates. So the contributing video looks so much better than it used to, and it doesn't look as, sort of flat and dull and, 420 versus 422 and things like that. So, the color spaces look better. You can get 10-bit video, which is really, really interesting. And, once that comes into our system, it becomes an NDI source, and now you can use it all over the place on your network and, run it to your teleprompters, run it to your confidence monitors and things like that. So it does take it to a whole new level, especially if you're a traditional video producer. And, obviously, like I said, every business out there these days is becoming a broadcaster per se. So that's kind of, the level of care you have to give to your products these days, or to your presentations.
Yeah. When I heard about your partnership with Zoom, it was announced right at ISE.
Yes.
I was really excited about it too, because, as our company, Ikan, also comes from a traditional broadcast background, like NewTek, right? Like Vizrt. But in the past several years, we've really also seen the rise in corporate AV and that convergence.
Yeah.
And 2 years ago, when we released our first PoE, Power over Ethernet lighting, and it was designed specifically to address what you and I just talked about, which is corporations, they don't have the type of budget that a traditional media does, right? And you spoke perfectly about the fact that, as a corporation, the marketing side is a cost center.
Yeah,
right?
It's not revenue generating.
Yeah,
so,
it's not
they're always worried about making money, right? That's what a business is designed to do, is to generate revenue. And, when we come to them we need a budget to get some lights, or we need to get a budget to get some cameras, or whatever it may be. Even for my company internally, we do tons of webinars, and we do tons of corporate town halls, and, where the CEO wants to talk to the entire organization. Those moments are times when we want him to look as good as possible. And I will tell you, conversely, my audience works with the biggest broadcasters in the world every day of the week. The CNN, ESPN, BBC, Sky News, all of those are our customers. So my sales guys, the sales guys at Vizrt are out there talking to them every day, trying to tell them, hey, our software is going to make you look fantastic. Now, when we internally don't mirror that same message, we get a lot of not complaints, but we get a lot of comments about, why does that look like that? So, we have to elevate our appearance even internally. So, like I said, when the CEO wants to give an address or something like that, or a corporate update or a town hall or whatever it may be, we take the effort to, make him look as good as possible, make him sound as good as possible. And really, like I said, just elevate that image so that his message comes through with the gravity that it needs to.
Mm-hmm. So well said. And what we've also noticed with a lot of broadcast manufacturers and software and service providers, as they're trying to engage corporate clients, is they're really just trying to get corporate clients to adopt existing broadcast technologies or workflows. And that's just not realistic. That's not just possible, right? Because broadcast technology is very expensive. And there is a huge difference between a broadcast infrastructure that's built on coax, baseband, SDI, alongside XLR, DMX, versus most corporations built on IP network, Cat6 cables, Netgear switches, and servers and racks and all of that.
Yeah.
And so, and what you're doing with the Zoom partnership is a reflection that, you're bringing broadcast technology into a platform that corporations already are very comfortable with, right?
Yes. I mean, there are always some challenges dealing with the IT department, because, that's going to be a little bit of a hurdle. I mean, I'll admit that. We deal with it ourselves. Security is always a big deal. They want to know what's going on. But, once you can get past that and make them comfortable and bring them into the conversation early, so that roadblock kind of is eased away, you can do a lot of interesting things. Because, like I said, once it's on the network and you can use, consumer-based or off-the-shelf technology, a server, a computer, I mean, they're very flexible in what you can do. So, like, we built our entire studio in San Antonio. We got a control room with, 4 workstations where, a large crew can come in and work there, and, you can control the lights from there, you can control the audio from there. Everything's over IP. So we use different technologies for all that. But from one central workstation, just the flexibility that you have, adjust the lights, adjust the sound, it's more tangible to people who are familiar with using computers. Now, if I brought a broadcaster person in there, I'd have to teach them a bunch of stuff. But I can bring someone who, just right out of university, who doesn't have a lot of broadcast experience, but understands computers. I can teach them how to use a camera a little bit. I can teach them how to turn on the lights, because they're already kind of set the way we expect them to be. We have a lot of flexibility with what we can do, because we got it out of that traditional, like you said, baseband world, and, where everything's a monodirectional connection, where this is just flexibility. And if we want to add something, hey, there's a network jack, just plug it in there, put in another switch, and we get just more expandability than we would have normally had with dedicated cabling.
Yeah, so true. And it helps scalability.
Yeah.
It helps corporations realize that they don't have to build a parallel set of infrastructure.
Right.
Right. It just lives in their same server rooms.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the way all of ours is, just all in the same server closet. We do have some patches that we have to do from time to time, but that's, it's just an Ethernet cable. I mean, those are super cheap. If I went to a store in any city in the world, an electronics store, and showed them an Ethernet cable and said, I need one of these, I can probably find it. If I showed them an SDI cable, they're like, what is that?
Yeah, what is that?
So
yeah, we heard the exact same thing when we started deploying our PoE lights across the world. And it's just a reflection that, when you're talking about power supply and AC power, almost every major country has their own flavor, right? Our US power plugs versus the UK versus EU versus China, Korea, Japan, they all have their own flavor.
Right.
Whereas Ethernet, RJ45 Cat6 is ubiquitous and it's truly universal.
And the advantages you get when you put it on the network, it's not just getting power to it. Now you can control it. Now you can turn it on and off. You can adjust your colors. You can adjust your levels. Everything is available to you. Whereas, you used to have one power cable, one DMX cable, and it just starts scaling up and scaling up. And if something's colliding or some address isn't set right, it can get very confusing. Whereas, like these are, you can just find the IP address and away you go. And everything, you can build software on top of that. And the beauty of software is it's very easy to upgrade software and change software and modify software as opposed to changing hardware, right? Hardware is expensive. It's built in, that our entire business is built on software-based solutions. And yes, we do have hardware that we sell along with it, but the real power comes from the switching or the software that is controlling everything. And it gives us so much flexibility to work with pretty much any system, right? Because your lights are IP based or software based. Now, some other controller automation systems control them. It gets built into the entire infrastructure, and you don't need dedicated equipment to manage it.
Yeah, well said. All of our lights, in addition to being DMX over IP, so ArtNet SACN, they all have native QSys integration. We have a plugin on the QSys marketplace platform.
Right.
Where anyone can download it and have instant access through their QSys touch panels.
Yeah.
Again, reduce the friction for corporate customers.
Yeah, and especially going into this enterprise world, especially, and same thing for education or like a house of worship or something like that, where you don't have trained broadcast professionals. Pushing buttons on a touchscreen or a panel or something is very native to them. They understand. They use their phones. They use their iPads. They've been doing this for, phones 20 years almost now, right? So this is all familiar technology. It's not intimidating. It's accessible. It's very friendly, if you know what I mean. And the volunteers can use it at a church. The teacher can use it at a school. And so that brings the scalability and and once somebody's familiar with your solution, they'll hopefully stick with it. But if they do go somewhere else, they're going to expect that same level of integration, that same level of usability.
Yeah, I mean the IP workflow lends itself to be a software-driven workflow, right? Which lends itself to automation. Mm-hmm. And that automation is really what will allow you to take a learning curve that's this steep to something that's way more manageable, scalable for people.
Yeah, and I started my career doing, filming commercials and movies and things like that, and as a video editor. And then got into live production. And, if you went into any studio in like when I started my career in the late 90s, there was 30 people working on that show. And nowadays, you can do that with a handful of people. And I mean, yes, that does mean jobs and, things like that. But, from and they don't have to be specially trained professionals. And, that means that more people can do more and more communication go out, more content gets made. I mean, everybody's making content these days. We're doing it right here on the trade show floor, right? 15 years ago, I tried to do this and just the signals, the cables, the lighting, everything was just really, really complicated and really expensive.
And the staffing as well.
And the staff we needed to handle it. I mean, you've got like 2 people working on this behind the scenes because everything's, set up correctly and, you've conformed the production to what it could be. But thankfully, the tools are cheap enough. I hate to say, they're affordable, they're accessible, and they're reliable enough that, you don't need that redundancy. You don't need that, like I said, that closet full of equipment, those dedicated things. Like if you wanted to roll in video, you could do that with software if you wanted to. If you wanted to, handle the switching like you're doing here today, that's all done through software. It makes things really easy, really accessible, and like I said, really scalable too. Because,
And
You can
Agree.
teach people to do things really, really quick when it's a computer.
Well said. And, for us, it's really about, yes, there is potentially a labor reduction component, but we don't look at it that way. We look at it as corporations are not going to hire that labor no matter what.
No matter what. That crew was never available to me.
Yeah.
Internally, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I have a crew of basically 4 or 5 video people that I can rely on a daily basis. Now, some of them, this isn't even their main job, right? They may be on our technical team that helps our customers, and they'll come in and give me a hand from time to time if I need it. But I can't rely on them 24/7. So I need them to be up and running very quickly with solutions that are kind of one touch as possible. So I can say, hey, I need the lights and the camera set for so and so to call into my system back in San Antonio, either whether it be through Zoom or through an NDI solution. It's us trying to find the lowest friction path possible to get signals into our control room, our cloud-based control room, or whatever it may be, so that we can then use the 2 or 3 trained professionals to composite the look, do the graphics, and everything else. And so that's something that's really important to us is, using NDI and get everything, like you said, IP. We can do just so much more than we used to be able to, where that used to take, maybe some kind of dedicated signal, some kind of dedicated equipment. Now it's just make sure the camera's plugged in, push this button, make sure the height's right, make sure the lights are on, it's really fast and simple that way.
Yeah, well said. Before we started this segment, you looked at our new Studio Rover, which is that all-in-one kind of mobile broadcast. It can work as a REMI workflow. It can also work just as a standalone kind of self-contained brains.
Yeah.
And you mentioned about how, it can be augmented with some of the Vizrt kind of TriCaster products. Love to maybe talk a little bit about what that would look like and how we could potentially work together, even if it's just a one-off basis.
Well, I didn't get too close in there, but I do see a lot of stuff going on. I mean, look, the TriCaster is a very flexible system. It's designed to work with pretty much everything out there in the world. Obviously, the easiest path to contribution is NDI. I mean, that's a technology that NewTek released. Well, I guess it's 11 years ago now at IBC, and we use that throughout our entire production workflow across all of our products at Vizrt, from our graphics systems to our MAM systems. Everything has NDI at its heart. So that's the easiest thing for us to deal with. But if you've got BNC cables, SDI cables, whatever, we can get those into our environment, and then it automatically converts them to IP. So now we can do all the same sort of contribution and distribution and production very quickly and very efficiently. And you have access to the greatest graphics tools on the market. You have access to the recording systems, the streaming, the whatever you want to connect to. You can get the Zoom people into here. I mean, this would all just really quickly integrate and give us a lot of production power.
Yeah, that's great. And our Studio Rover, if you look at the prompter, it's a full NDI PoE prompter.
Yeah, that's really
system.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we've been all in on NDI for many years, and we continue to push forward on all things video over IP.
I mean, how do I say this? I used to work, like I said, I started my career as a video editor in the 1990s, and I used to go into the editing suite, if you will, and there was a CMX controller and it's tape to tape and things like that. And over my career, it turned into like a media composer, an avid media composer, and then we started getting these file-based workflows and the ability to move things around, change things. Then we started putting all those files on a server where everybody could start using them. And didn't matter what room I was in, didn't matter who was working on the show we were working on at the time. If I was in Edit Bay 1 doing something and somebody was in Edit Bay 2, we could use the same things, right? And that's what NDI does. It takes that signal and puts it on the network, and it just becomes magical at that point. I can put it on this screen. I can put it on that screen. I don't have to run extra cables. All I got to do is get it on the network, and boom, I can do so much with it. And I now I can work from my desk if I want to. I don't have to go to that room. It's just the flexibility you get when you put things on the network. It's just magical.
Yeah, imagine the old days of running all those SDI cables.
Yeah, we did it.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I don't even think about it now. And I mean, the routers and the broadcast routers and things like the SDI routers. And man, it was a lot. And I even started back when we were using composite cables and, components, three wires per plus all the audio. And now all of that just comes over the network, and you can control your cameras if you want to with PTZ and stuff like that. So, and shade them and do all of the work from one place. I think my steps are down, but
Well, there's other ways to get steps up,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Just come to Vegas and walk around. My watch shamed me today.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
said your steps have gone up the last few days, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess I've been here. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's like I said, getting things on the network. That's where something really magical happens. And the more devices that we get on the network, now you've got monitors, we've got cameras, we've got lights. Like that whole thing is becoming just a very cohesive environment. And when they all start talking to each other, that's when, like you said, the automation becomes part of things. And that's when we can really scale up what people can do in every environment, not just the broadcast world, but even schools and churches. And just all comes back to the simplicity of letting a user create magical pictures on a screen. That's all we're trying to do is, 30 or 60 times a second, make something move on a screen. And the more people that can do that, then it becomes available to people who want to be creative or people who have a story to tell or a message to share. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what we want to make happen. And we want to make it look good. And we want people to really engage with what they're seeing on the screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. One other thing I've seen a pattern of is that, in the entire, most of our customers are some sort of corporation organization, right? And they're generally not going to DIY something. They're going to hire somebody to build it.
Yeah.
And as this corporate convergence in the broadcast is happening, it's accelerating. The demand is increasing.
Mm-hmm.
What we are also seeing is that the supply of, okay, I'm going to take one step back. The entire ecosystem and community of integrators, AV integrators, or just integrators in general, broadcast integrators, those who are specialized in doing broadcast technology, is a tiny sliver, right? But with the convergence, with the fact that you're developing IP workflow products and we're developing IP workflow products, we're finding that we're able to train AV integrators to now install broadcast.
Right.
We worked with Avixa, so we are an CTS RU provider for Avixa, and the curriculum we greenlit with Avixa is 3-point lighting training. Okay. So our PoE lights, if you wanted to teach an AV integrator about how to become a broadcast integrator, they have to understand DMX and the board, the fader board, and then they have to understand video switchers and SDI, right? That's just so much learning curve. But with everything being IP based and everything talking to a Netgear switch, we're able to really train AV integrators to do broadcasts in a very short amount of time. Now we're increasing the supply of labor that can address this growing demand. Because what you don't want is the service supply, the installers, to be the bottleneck.
Yeah, you don't want that sort of choke point in in between the customer and their outcome, right?
Yeah.
You want them to be partners with you, and that's something we've been, the TriCaster business, if you will, has been very partner driven ever since it began. Since NewTek started 30 years ago, give or take. We have a whole network of partners around the world that we bring in to train them on our systems. We talk to them about them all the time. We have our trainers go around and show them that sort of integration all the time. So we're big on having a network of not only reliable installers but reliable users out there. So we do offer a lot of training. We offer something we call Viz University, where you can go take free classes or paid training. So it's a little bit more in depth or a little bit more inclusive, I guess maybe that's not the right word, but it's very immersive. That's the word I was looking for. And we will have on-site events with master classes where we bring, select customers in or select integrators in to give them a greater experience to learn more about the products or learn more about the capabilities of the solution. And that's something we're doing more and more is not just like saying, okay, you need a switcher, you don't need a switcher. You need a whole broadcast tool set. But we don't call it that. We call it the corporate, the town hall experience or something like that. So we can look at what they're actually trying to do. And our resellers are getting good about this too, is, they look at what the outcome is as opposed to just, we want to sell you a box. We don't want to do that. We want to sell you a whole outcome, but whether it be graphics, whether it be, augmented reality, whether it be, media storage, whether it be cameras, anything, so the whole product line is now available to you. And it's not just, just like one piece of equipment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very, very true. So we're both at NAB. We're here, representing our respective companies. We're both presenting some really cool technologies. But beyond what we are presenting, our two organizations, what are some other things that you're really excited to see or you've already seen here at the show?
I am going to say, honestly, like I said, I've been coming to this show for many, many, many years. The transition to IP-based technology has been happening, I don't know, probably a good 10 years right now. It's really solidified now, I think. The thing that we are really focusing on right now, from our organization, is the influence of AI now. And I see it as a valuable tool. We use it the heck out of it. It's being integrated into our products in a way that's more of a helper, if you will, an agent, agentic AI. That's kind of the big word right now. But we're seeing more and more use of it to sort of, like I said, break down some of that friction, break down some of those barriers so that more users have access to these really amazing and powerful tools that, frankly, a lot of these companies designed for broadcasters. So they may be a little tricky to use. There may be some nuances. And using the AI tools to kind of break through some of that barriers, like I said, it's just now giving access to people who didn't have it before. And that's totally changing things and opening up markets that we didn't even know existed. And so that's really important too. Now, I do see some things that are more generative AI. And, you have to be careful, at least in my position from a marketing perspective. I'm very big on maintaining that sort of authenticity of our brand and authenticity of our voice. And, being sincere in what we say and, standing behind what we want to deliver out there to the market. And I do see some things that I'm like, that's a really dangerous route. And, people come and talk to me about it. And I said, that's a good step one, but then you need to put your layer on top of it to bring it back to who your voice is, what you want people to remember about you. Because once again, I walk around this floor and it's not robots walking around, it's people. So we got to build relationships with people. And, using AI to help you do that is fantastic, and sort of to manage the back end of it, if you will. Hey, I talked to so-and-so, this is this event, and, letting the letting the robots help you out there is fine. But, you still have to look someone in the eye and stand behind your product, stand behind what you're saying, and be a part of who they are. I mean, if you were a house of worship, for example, the switcher you may buy may be your biggest expense of the year, right? That may be, a $30,000 expenditure. And to them, that's a huge part of their budget. And if there was a problem with it, or if something went wrong, that's a negative reflection on that relationship. So if you have somebody you can talk to that's not a bot, not a, whatever, and help you get through your problems, I just feel like that's very important, so that, when those moments of disruption happen, they have someone they can rely on. Because, these are computers. Something's going to happen sometimes. And, even I have some of your lights, and I was having issues the other day. I talked to Brian on the phone, and he's like, oh, yeah, here's this and this. And then all of a sudden we got our problems fixed. I didn't have to go, jump through hoops to get that. I just called somebody I knew. And so that's still really, really, really important. I know we're getting in this world where we talk about AI and things like that, and we talk about, technology, but the human to human things is so important still as part of this business.
Yeah, I fully share that same philosophy, Lenny. We are, as a company, we have moved pretty far ahead in terms of agentic AI internally.
Yeah.
But just like you, what our goal and vision for agentic AI is to be our clerks and our assistants.
Yes.
To take away the grunt work so that we can spend more time with people.
Yeah.
Right? We're doing this because you and I both believe that having a real conversation like this is the most valuable thing.
Yeah.
And what we want to empower our sales and marketing and product team to do is to spend more of their time engaging people.
Yes.
And being creative and being innovative.
Yeah.
And less time filling out paperwork.
Right.
Filling out quotes,
right,
and doing all the monotonous things that people really hopefully shouldn't be doing much longer,
right?
But that we can have intelligent agentic AI, build spreadsheets for us and do fill out templates. Every time we release a product, we have channel partners are like, can you fill out this 28 column template so we can just take your products and upload to the website?
Yeah,
it used to take one of our folks, bless their heart, because I can't sit through that.
Yeah.
But it would take them half a day to do all that. And now with a click, we have Claude, agentic AI, just build that for us. Right?
Yeah.
That's just an example. Yeah.
We're seeing that sort of relationship with the systems being optimized and becoming more efficient. I mean, we have fed a lot. We've built a model that knows our support systems, if you will. And we haven't exposed that to the public yet, but our support team does use it in the back end. So, there may have been a case 10 years ago where something happened and this was the solution. And instead of having to search for that manually, they just kind of prompt it and get a response. Oh yeah, that's right, that happened. Let's go ahead and try this as a remediation path to a customer issue. So those sorts of are places that it can be helpful, especially when you have a ton of data to manage and sort through. That's where it really becomes important. We use it obviously for metrics on our website and things like that. But I still think it's really important, especially in this synthetic social media world and things like that we do maintain that authentic voice and keep the, how do I say, the emojis out of our posts, because the second I see one of those or an M dash, I'm like, not listening to you anymore. So
that's AI slop. I found it.
Yeah,
I saw
that
it.
AI slop. We find it that crud all the time. So that's really important to us, and the way that it's being now integrated into some of our workflows and some of our solutions, it's becoming, like I said, a partner in development and a partner in removing some of that technical knowledge that might have been needed by a very specific user, or a very highly trained user, and making it accessible to more people.
Yeah, that is a great parting message, and it's something that I think resonates with everybody as we're all trying to struggle with or come to terms with what AI means to all of us in our future, professionally and socially and personally.
Yeah.
Lennie, it's been such a pleasure talking with you.
This has been great. I love y'all's products.
Same here.
When I need lights, you're the first person I call. When I needed a teleprompter, you're the first person I reached out to. So, I can great stuff. So I appreciate you as well.
Same here, Lennie. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.